was late to the party when it came to learning to read. I was not able to read until about age 5. Before I turned 5 though, I still had experiences with reading and writing. This virtual book bag consists of my memories and meaningful experience with reading throughout my lifetime. I had started getting an obsession from Thomas the Train flip books. These books were my favorite when I was little and were what caused one of my later favorite interests, trucks. Trains were my favorite for a number of years and were one of my parents' biggest expenses, from getting me train sets and anything related to Thomas and his friends. When I first started reading, I loved to read road signs. I would be in my booster seat in the car and yell commands at whoever was in the driving seat. I have vivid memories of my mom getting mad at me when I wouldn't stop yelling that there was a deaf child in the area. Diary of a Wimpy Kid was the first book series that I got into. It was the first book that I really enjoyed reading. I would read the books non-stop and just not be able to put them down. I would finish the 200-page book in less than a day when I was only 9 years old. The Dark Frigate is one of the most difficult books I've ever read. The book was not only in very small print, but was also very difficult in its wording. The book used Old English and many hard words. I also couldn't give it up because I selected it as a 7th grade school assignment. The assignment was horribly late due to the amount of time for me to read the thing, which amounted to a somewhat effortful 2 months. I went back and read the first 60 pages over the summer and still found them hard. When I was around 12, my Russian began to slip. My grandma, who speaks no English, decided to take it upon herself to fix that. Every time she would come to our house, we would work on my Russian, reading, writing, and speaking. It significantly improved my Russian. When I was little, I loved the Russian Winnie the Pooh cartoons, or Winnie Pooh. The love of the cartoons transferred to his books, and was my first real experience with Russian reading and Russian books. Russian story tales, or сказкis, were my first experiences being read to. My mom would read to me while I fell asleep. There are many stories that I enjoyed, but my favorites were about the Swamp Goblin, Kikimora, and Baba Yaga. I remember that I once went to a fair with my mom, and there was a touch tank. I was about 9 years old and saw that there was an error in the labeling of one of the species of snails. I pointed out the error, and the woman behind the stand looked up the snail in a big book, then proceeded to change the label. I began reading every piece of info on marine biology I could find. It was also my very first periodical that I ever subscribed to, which I could barely understand. Sharks were my favorite aspect of marine biology. I had diagrams of them all throughout my room. My favorite book on sharks was the life-size version of the book. It was awesome because I loved seeing how big the teeth of the great white were, or how small the dogfish was. I really enjoy books or movies that make me think or have a deeper meaning. The Alchemist fulfilled both of these, as well as being just a good book with a good storyline. Ever since I read the book, I've been thinking of goals and sizing myself up against them. I learned a fair bit from the book, but the part that I have been thinking about the hardest are the obstacles and assists that life gives you to fulfill your ultimate goal. Every night I make an attempt to read a random Wikipedia article. I think this was one of the best reading discoveries I have ever made. I've read about everything from battleships to corrupt rabbis. I have learned more than most textbooks can teach me, and I can literally learn about anything I'd like. I used to not like to read in my free time. I would instead rather play my Nintendo or mess around in the yard. I later had a revelation. I wanted to learn all I could. Now I read in my free time, and it has already benefited me multiple times. I think that the virtual book bag assignment was not only a good opportunity to reflect on the past, but also think about the future and new perspectives on the depth of reading.